Tonight is college launch night. My partner is College Ave Student Loans. They're a wonderful partner. Everything I'm sharing, the editorial piece is all me. So all they do is make this possible for us to be able to get together. They're also providing a $5,000 scholarship, which you get simply by, you can get a chance to win simply by entering. And I would say to take advantage of that because, um, you know, the odds are actually pretty good. So there are some amazing questions. I have some answers. I want to help you. Let's get started. So this is college launch night. We have a lot of people from a lot of different places with lots of different needs. Here's how you can get in touch with me. I'm going to show you this slide again. You're going to get a copy of all of these slides. Okay, you'll get a copy of all these. You'll also get a replay that will be in your mailbox tomorrow, and you will have access to this, and you can share this with friends and other people who you know are going to be like, oh, I wish I could be here. I wish I could be here. So I'm going to share more about me in a little bit, but I want to get started and talk about you. I know we have a lot of seniors here. We have a lot of parents here. This is a slide I show when I go to Purdue University and work with their parents. And for those of you who are going to be saying goodbye, who are going to be actually physically on campus, well, you can cry. The thing is, you should cry, okay? But the thing is, you don't want to cry to the point where you're being taken away by an ambulance, because then you become the center of attention, and that is not a good thing. So you can be emotional and feel it, but I feel like even talking about this and just like the tone of when you drop your child off or when your child starts college, there's so much uncertainty right now. I was talking to some counselors at a school. I'm doing a virtual event. I do virtual events because some of my live events have been postponed. So I'm doing some virtual events. And I was talking to the junior dean, the senior dean. I was talking to the college counselor, and they were saying, Harlan, everybody is so focused on just dealing with everything happening right now, just the emotion, the uncertainty, the discomfort, that college is just something that they're almost not even ready for. So in addition to helping you to be great at navigating all the college pieces, what I also want to do is I want to make sure that I can help you to just kind of release the valve a little bit, just chill out a little bit. And I want to find out where you are, engage where you are in just a moment. But I would like to just kind of bring you up to speed on what's happening in the world of higher ed. I like to go to the Chronicle of Higher Education. The Chronicle is a really great resource. And you can see, here's some of the most recent headlines talking about the pandemic and how colleges are reacting and how summer programs are canceled. The next conversation is going to be all about when is school going to start? What's going to be happening next? Students are trying to find connection. The question of when students are admitted, so many of you have been admitted and your admitted student days have been canceled. Let me see by a show of hands in my panel here. If your admitted student day, if you were admitted and your admitted student day was canceled, please raise your hand. Let me see those hands. Okay, so, oh my gosh, my screen, it is crazy. Oh, you got to be like, that is so hard. And for those of you who raised your hand, who are missing out on that newly admitted student day, I'm going to help you. I've been talking to students on how to be able to find the answers. So like the thing is, if you have questions, let me know. Like legit, beyond today, I really want to be here with you. If I can emphasize that again and again. Inside Higher Education is another great resource, and I'll include these in the description of our event. It's a wonderful place to get the latest news. So for those of you who have questions about how AP tests are going to be scored and how we're dealing with admissions and is everything going to start on time? Again, this is another wonderful place to start. The whole test optional story inside higher ed has been all over that. Many of you have already asked me these questions about the ACT and the SAT. You've got a lot of questions about that. And the answers are still coming out. Just today, there was a story that College Board canceled the June tests. And then there's an at-home version that they're considering. So, I mean, like everybody's figuring this out. But the idea of being test optional, Like if you're not a good tester, like that's awesome. If you aren't sure about test optional, if you aren't sure which schools are test optional, there are many schools that are being added to this list. So at Fair Test, there is a ongoing list. This is from April 15th. So I tried to get you the latest, but you can see if your school is on this. Now the question is, okay, well, if your school is test optional and you haven't taken your test, are you still going to have a good chance of getting in? I'm going to talk to some admissions people. I'm going to plan an admissions conversation, and I'm going to do that on Before College TV. And we may even schedule it with College Ave. We'll see what happens. But I want you to know how they're processing this so that you can have a good understanding of just, does it impact you? It's really interesting. You're going to see, and I need to triple check, but last I looked, the University of California schools were on the test optional page, which was something they were not before. Someone just, and I'm looking at the questions as they come in. This is a fast and furious night. I got a lot to cover. There's two different options. There's test optional and there's test blind schools. Test blind schools means they don't even look, okay? Test optional means you can submit your test scores, and if you're a really strong tester, that's great, but you aren't penalized if you don't include your test scores. So you can talk with the admissions department about that, and I'm gonna host something that goes into that because I wanna make sure that we can address that question. Deadlines for you juniors, and I know there are a lot of juniors here, and for our seniors, the deadlines, especially for our seniors, the deadlines of when you need to put down your deposits, the deadlines of when you need to make your decisions, many schools have changed these deadlines to give you more time to figure out what you need. So if you go to acceptgroup.org, and I've got the link here, you can see if your school is a June 1st deadline. Some schools might even be July 1st. I know that there are other schools that are sticking with May 1st. So the thing is, you're just going to have to be on top of this, and I will do everything I can to communicate this with you. And for those of you who are in Europe, I see some people who are abroad. Again, these are tricky times because we don't even know what's going to happen when it comes to travel, when it comes to how the borders are being monitored with the pandemic. Try to come up with a different word. Okay, virtual campus tours for you juniors especially. Schools are like totally changing this every single day. I've been talking to many contacts on campuses, and they're like recording videos now. They're changing their admissions page. This is just WashU. I just pulled this up for no reason, but everybody has their COVID-19 message. And what's really cool is they're doing these very specialized conversations. And what's cool about this is students have nothing else to do. You can be in touch with more students than ever before, those students who are on campus. When it comes to virtual college fairs, and again, so much is happening virtually, you could participate in the StriveScan Virtual College Fair. NACAC, the National Association of College Admissions Counselors, they're working, partnering with StriveCan, and they're hosting this amazing college fair. So check that out as well for you juniors. What I'm trying to give you right now is as much information to help you. I'm going fast, but you're going to get all of this information. So, right, someone said, what's the name of the website again? You're going to have access to all these slides tomorrow, and I will include a series of links, so you won't have to go through the slides to get the links. I'll include them all, so it'll be super easy for you. So you can go to the virtual college fair, and if you're a senior, again, you can also go to the virtual college fair, even if you've been admitted, and you can interact with the admissions people if you find it challenging to get in touch with them. The other thing that you can do, the virtual admitted student events, this is another opportunity. This has not happened before, clearly, unless you're like the graduate of the like a 1919, you were part of the Spanish flu class. But what's happened is, again, the schools are doing everything they can to support students. This is Boston University, and again, I just picked different schools. They have an admitted student event schedule. These are admitted events for first-year students. the Facebook, the reason I included a Facebook logo, if you are people, if you guys don't like Facebook, okay, um, go on Facebook, especially you seniors. I know you're like, I don't like Facebook. Facebook's kind of for old people. But the reason that students go on Facebook is because there's so much happening. There are admitted student groups on Facebook, and you probably know this, but in those admitted student groups, they're exclusively for those students who have been admitted. And this is where you can interact with other students. You could interact with students on campus. Another thing is using social media. Any student you see in a panel discussion, any student who's a guest, because the students who are seniors, juniors, sophomores, and freshmen in college, they're participating in these events. So you can find these people on social media, and it's going to help you tremendously because you can reach out to them on Snap, on Instagram. I've been talking to students. I've been doing college panels with students from campus, and I'll share with you their information. And they're like, ask me questions. Never before has it been more important for you guys to ask questions. No one's going to think you're stupid. No one's going to think you're annoying. They're going to actually be really interested in answering your questions. So you have these admitted student events as well. Now, all of this started with a dream. Like, it's crazy when you think back to, like, what was your college experience going to be? Why do you even want to go to college? Why is this important to you? And I think that is something, I'm just going to breathe because I'm like all amped up. But that piece of like, why do you want to go to college? Why is college important to you? In that chat box, and there's so many wonderful things in that chat box, let me know. Let me know why going to college is something you want to do. Like, why is this important to you? So let me know in that chat box because I want to shift. There's a lot of information that you're going to get and need, but it really comes down to what do you want and why is this important to you? And I see the chats coming in of to pursue my dream job. And, I don't know what your dream job is, but your dream job better be something you really want to do because the way the world is right now, it's pretty crazy to become an engineer, to be successful, to get credentials, to go to medical school. I really love this idea of instead of thinking of college as something that's going to give you something, thinking of it as what is it that you want and where can you go so that you can get it. It's a really big shift because instead of being wanted, it's what do you want? Someone wants to stop bumming off their parents. Other people someone wants to be a lawyer. You want to be a psychiatrist. You want to pursue your passion. And here's the deal. I'm so glad you want something because that's the thing. But if what you want isn't what you want in a year, then you'll want something else and you'll learn what you want because it really all starts with a dream. The way that you're going to be successful as a junior, as a senior, the way we're going to help our kids, parents, is if they can answer the question, what do I want? What do you want? And keep sending these in. I love seeing these out of the corner of my eye of what you want because I can speak specifically to some of those things that you want. The only way to be great at going after what you want is if you can give yourself permission, if you can give yourself permission to allow yourself to dream, allow yourself to go after what you want. Let me see. I have another poll for you. Oh, this is good. This is good. So I want to know where you are mentally. Okay. Help me out here. So the question that I'm asking right now is using a scale 1 to 10, how nervous or uncomfortable are you feeling about college? Using a scale 1 to 10, how nervous or uncomfortable? 1 is you're so relaxed, you're almost unconscious. 2 is, nah, I'm not nervous or uncomfortable at all. 3, I'm feeling a little twinge. It's either nerves or dinner. Some of you maybe haven't had dinner yet. I'm definitely feeling it, but it's not a major problem. Feeling it comes and goes. I'll share this, in just a moment. Some of you are 5s. We've got a few people who are 10s. We got a few people who are 10s. And if you're a 9 or 10, like be a 9 or 10, right? Like be a 9 or 10. Oh, good question. Good questions coming in. Keep those coming in. So some of you are feeling, moderately uncomfortable. I think, generally everybody's in that 5, 6, or 7, which would make sense. But I think sometimes we get into the 8, 9, and 10. And I really want you to, by the end of this, to just be, in that 5 or 4 range. It looks like a lot of you are settling into that range as well. I'm going to keep this poll going for just 1 second. While you answer this question, while you answer my poll question, I just want to throw in one Q&A. Someone wants to know about starting at a community college until students get their plan organized. I'm a huge fan of community colleges. I think that it's an incredible opportunity. The way that I look at community colleges is that a student can go to a community college, but it's what they do outside of the classroom. And this is where, if they want to be in medicine, getting a job at a hospital, even if they're in a gift shop, if they're interested in being in retail and doing something in retail, if they're interested in being a vet, then getting a job at an animal clinic. It's creating an opportunity to be in a place where you're surrounded by people that are going to help you to learn what you want. So let's just see these results. So we've got a few people who are so relaxed, they're unconscious. I hope you're not sleeping. And then you can see most people are in that mid-range. And then you've got some people who are in that higher range. It's nice to see. I like you to know that you're not alone. I think it's really important. Whatever your dream is, I just want you to know, especially for you juniors, one way COVID-19 is impacting fall college enrollments is that schools are going to have an unexpected yield, meaning they're not sure how many students they're going to get. And what's going to happen is schools will over-accept. Isn't that exciting? Schools will over-accept. So one of the positives of all this is that schools are going to let in more people, which is pretty interesting. So, I figured I'd give you some something positive to think about. All right, I'm going to share with you an approach to look at college, to alleviate stress, to help you to get where you want to go. I want to spend just a second sharing a little bit about me so that you have some context. Gosh, you have the best questions coming in. I'm going to make sure that I leave plenty of time for questions. If in the chat box I haven't gotten to your question and something you really want me to answer, you can send it again, write it again. I'm going to be going through these, and I'll make sure that I can get you answers. So who am I, real quickly? I've written a bunch of books. The Naked Roommate and 107 Other Issues You Might Run Into is the #1 best-selling book on college life. I wrote this book because my first year was miserable. I include this little clip from the New York Times bestseller list because I've always felt stupid. I know that's a strange thing to say, but I've always struggled to feel good enough. I failed freshman algebra in high school. I just never really thought I never thought I was enough. And I somehow have a book that's on the New York Times bestseller list. And the reason this book has been successful is because it helps people. The emotional part, the navigating college part is hard. Most students are so focused on getting in that they don't really know how to navigate life once they're there. And you have the best chance now, because of what's happening in the world, to help you to be able to get where you want to go and navigate all these changes. You get to practice uncomfortable now. The Naked Roommate for Parents Only is a book for parents, also the Naked Roommate Workbook. I want to move on. I do a lot of speaking. Maybe some of you have been at events. Maybe I've actually talked to you and been there, which is great. So it's good to see you again. I also write advice. I've been writing advice for over 20 years. I started writing my column in the Indiana Daily Student, my college newspaper. I interned at The Tonight Show with Jay Leno my senior year, totally dating myself now. And it was that internship that helped me to get the idea to write. And that's what started my career of helping. I've also visited a tremendous number of schools. When I'm not in quarantine and being isolated, I get to go all over the country. And it's super exciting to meet students because I get to know what's on their mind. And again, I meet so many students who go to their dream schools and find out what they thought it was going to be isn't what it is. Or they don't find connection and community. They struggle. And it is painful to see this happen year after year, but you're here and I'm here and we can help to take care of this. I'm also a father. I have 3 kids. This picture's getting a little old. My daughter is now, well, this was 3 years ago. This was the last day before we left the city of Chicago. We moved. And it was wonderful. We've been out in the suburbs for a few years. Um, but that change really reminded me of the change for college, the big college change. And I know many of you have come here with, I see you got a lot of questions, but this part, I'm telling you, um, if you can like hit the pause button and see the holistic piece, it's going to change how you look at all of those smaller questions. See, I went to college because it's just what we do in my family. I want to go to big school because that's what we do. I didn't really know why, other than I wanted to go to the best school, thinking that it would be the best opportunity. A big school is what I wanted. I also wanted to be close to my high school girlfriend because it was a miracle that I had one. Truly, I didn't want to get dumped because I didn't know how I got her, and I didn't know if I could find another one. I also didn't want to know people because I wanted to try something new. I was just tired of being in the same place with the same people. So I get to this school, University of Wisconsin in Madison, an amazing place, about 2.5 hours away from home. I moved in with my roommate, and one thing about me is I do everything wrong the first time. I'm not good at doing things right the first time. I'm very messy. I'm a messy learner, and that's why I love sharing this with you. I moved in with a roommate, and I thought it was going to be a great experience. I thought my roommate was going to be my friend, but my roommate wasn't my friend. This isn't actually my roommate. This is like stock photo of a guy half naked in a bathroom. I did not take this picture, just so you know. So I thought my roommate was going to be my friend. He loved smoking pot. The first day, he's like, "Hey man, do you want some?" He was smoking a joint, and I'm like, "No thanks, man. I'm full." And he moved out the next week, and that was really sad because my roommate was going to be my friend. Nobody thinks about how they're going to make friends, and I know a lot of you are thinking about other issues, but this piece of how am I going to find my connection and community? Why am I even going to this place? How am I going to create the experience that I desire? I tried to get into a fraternity because I thought that'd be a great way to meet people, but the fraternities I rushed, they didn't want me. I got rejected by all the fraternities, and that was really upsetting. I had a girlfriend, like I said to you before. This was Alexis. She was my first love. This is our prom picture. It's pretty exciting. And I loved her more than I love myself, which wasn't hard. Like I said, I wasn't really that confident. And Alexis and I were going to stay together. She was a senior and I was a freshman in college. She was a senior in high school. My relationship really got strained. I struggled my first year, and you're going to see how common it is for people to struggle. And Alexis had a conversation with her dad. Her father compared our relationship to a dying puppy, urging Alexis to shoot the puppy. So Alexis called me up and she's like, "Hey, Harlan, I can't do this anymore." And it was a sad story. I tried to cry, but I couldn't cry. And it ended. And I was so devastated because here I was at this amazing campus. Here I was at this beautiful place. This is what the University of Wisconsin looks like in August. It's beautiful. This is what it looks like when students are actually on campus. And this is what it looked like in the morning when I would walk to class. Let me make sure you can see this. This is the snowy hill. This is the same hill. This is Bascom Hill. This was what they sold me, okay? Go back to what they sold me. This is what they sold me. And this is what it was. It was a struggle socially, emotionally, physically, financially. It was an academic storm. It was really hard. And I really felt like I was alone. I was depressed. I was anxious. I felt like a failure. And what's so interesting is so many of you are going through a lot of these motions now. As I share this story, the idea of what you expected to happen isn't what's actually happening is so profound and so beautiful in the sense that you get to hit the pause button and get to actually process what's happening now, as opposed to having to wait a year or two and process it later. Well, I decided to leave and transfer. A lot of students transfer. I'm sure many of you know people who have transferred. People transfer from great schools. I transferred from UW-Madison to Indiana University because I had friends in Indiana and I needed my people. I had brothers, my real brothers, went to Indiana University, and there was a fraternity at Indiana University that had to accept me. I was a legacy, so they had no choice. And what happened is, over the course of the next year, I found my places and I found my people, and I was able to be patient. And this is the key: people, places, patience. College is about people, places, and patience. For any question you have, it's who's the person in the place who can help you to answer uncomfortable questions. When it comes to living your dream, where is the place you could put yourself so that you can be surrounded by like minded people who can support you? This is why, for you seniors, this is such an amazing opportunity to really answer the question, what do you want and who do you want to surround yourself with? This idea of dream schools and, everything's changed. I really believe it's changed. And it's, what do you want? Because what happens is, a lot of times we're so focused on getting in and we're so worried about getting in, and we focus so much on being wanted that we panic and we end up losing control. So many students bite into that first year of college, and it's like biting into a hot pepper for my 6-year-old Asher. I showed you him. And for so many people, they haven't really given themselves permission to be uncomfortable. They don't know what it's like. And like my 6-year-old who ate a hot pepper for the first time off my plate, he thought his head was going to explode. Like, he had no context. He didn't know. And this is what so many people deal with. This is why so many students struggle. So just to kind of give you a baseline, quarter of students transfer, a third of students in college felt so depressed it was hard to function, 2/3 felt lonely or homesick. And let me explain to you this. In 2019, this is from the American College Health Association. They do a national assessment. And in 2019, 55.9% of college students admitted feeling hopeless over the past year. 55.9%. And to let you know how this has been trending, in 2011, that number was 45.2%. 45.2% of college students felt hopeless in 2011. So, you, the class of 2020, you're like the most hopeless generation. Congratulations. This is incredibly exciting for you. I know that there are people who are actually talking about this, and I'm lighthearted with this. But the thing is, if you're someone who's struggled with anxiety, if you're someone who's dealt with this in high school, the good news is you have practice. And the better news is that you can use it to help guide your decision. There's a question that came in. I have struggled with anxiety, and I also have ADHD. How can I make sure I get through college without compromising my health? Thank you so much for asking me that question. The fact that you know that you struggled with anxiety, the fact that you know you have ADHD, is a wonderful gift. And it's not something that a gift you wanted necessarily, but it's a gift that you can use to help you to be able to find a school where you're going to have people and places. So the people you need, it's going to be someone in a counseling center. You want a school that's going to have great counseling. You want to have a school that can make accommodations for students who have ADHD, who are going to be very compassionate and helpful. You also want to find a school perhaps that's in a community where, if you can't get the right help because it's too isolated, maybe being near a major metropolitan area, maybe being closer to home. The other thing you should do is find other students on the campuses who have ADHD and anxiety. And listen, it's not going to be a hard thing to find out. You can even ask students, if you're a senior, during the newly admitted student days, during these discussions, you find any student ambassador. They're so kind. I interviewed a bunch of students the other day, and every time I do these panel discussions, a student tells me that they were stressed, they were anxious. Where was it? There was a student at, I think it was Elon University, and she talked about how she got counseling and it helped them. Most students deal with anxiety and depression, and now more than ever with what's going on, there's a lot of it. So, college is important, okay? Totally important, but what's more important right now is, if you are experiencing discomfort, instead of fighting it, give yourself permission to feel it, because this is, again, another amazing gift. Instead of focusing on search and selection, what you do is you focus on transition. Transition is how you go from one place to another. Most people are focused on the search part, wanting to get to the best, to be the best. They're focused on the selection part. They want to be wanted. But the transition part's the most important piece. What's going to happen once you're actually there? Now, there are 5 transitions that you need to keep in mind. And each person has a different order of what's important to them. The 5 big transitions you're going to deal with in college, the 5 big transitions you're going to deal with in high school. For the parents here, the 5 transitions that you are dealing with in life, the social transition. How do you find connection and community and make friends? Something that students struggle with. It's the number one issue. This is why my heart breaks for students who can't be on campus, because that's the value of being in a college community, is the social interaction, being connected. The emotional transition. If you have had anxiety, ADHD, if you struggled, big issue, making sure, and we can talk more. If you have bigger questions on this, I will talk to you and answer them. And I'm so happy to have that. And I'll find you people who can give you better answers if you don't like mine. The emotional transition, everything going on between our ears. We know that most students have struggled with anxiety. The physical transition. Someone just asked me a question, should I commute instead of dorming? If I only live 30 minutes away, will it hurt me academically, or will the lack of college distractions outweigh the driving? So I am a big fan of living on campus. The physical interaction, being engaged, being immersed, actually living and learning, living in learning communities are amazing. Being in a residence hall, you could get a job as an RA and get free room and board your sophomore year. Being 30 minutes away just makes it easier for you to bring home your dirty clothes. All right, like you can do that once in a while. I would do everything I could to live on campus. The physical transition, where do you want to go? Why is it important for you to go certain places? Then there's the financial transition, dealing with everything financial, of course. Many of you are worried about this. I know that your finances have changed, given that 21 million people filed for unemployment in the past 3 weeks. I mean, can you believe what's going on? It's unbelievable. Your situations may change. You can call the school. You can talk to the financial aid office. They want you. They want to do everything they can to help you and support you. So explain to them what is happening, especially if you're a newly admitted student, and see if you can get more money. See if there are changes that can be made. Uh, these people want to help you, but talk to them and let them know. And another thing is, if one school is offering you more than another school, let them know what other schools are offering you. Not because you're like playing games, but because you want them to know, because a lot of times they'll match or help if they possibly can. And then the last transition is the academic transition. Can you believe I got all the way through this and I only got to academic? That acronym is SEPFA, okay? SEPFA. Sounds like I'm saying something horrible. SEPFA. And these are the 5 big transitions you deal with. When you get a job, it becomes SEPFA, SEPFA, SEPFA. So I have a quick poll. I've got one more poll I want to ask you. And I want to know which part of SEPFA, which part of the college transition, whether you are in high school, whether you are in going to be going to college, wherever you are in life, if you are a professional and you work with students, if you're a counselor, you can answer it. What are the issues that your students are most concerned about? Which of these, social, emotional, the physical, financial, or academic? And one thing about the academic piece, if you've struggled in the classroom, and if you struggle in the classroom in college, I find out that people are really, you can get help. There's so much help available. While you answer this question, because there's more people answering the poll, we got a lot of people here tonight. An anonymous attendee wants to know, when you call the college, who do you talk to about changed finances and ask for help with finances? So you can always start with the admissions office. You can turn to the admissions office, call them, and ask them who the best person to talk to would be. You can find the name of someone. Now, of course, you can always call the financial aid office and you can explain the situation. One thing that's nice about calling the admissions office is if you get the name of someone, then you can call the admissions office and say, hi, Steve recommended that I talk to Gladys. Stephen Gladys. I don't know why Stephen Gladys. Stephen Gladys. So call them. This is not a time also. A lot of people are very nervous and uncomfortable when it comes to talking about finances. The beauty of what we're all dealing with is like, it's not shameful. Like, this is the world turned upside down. We're in the midst of a pandemic. Things have been shut down. So ask them, ask, and there's no embarrassment. Let's see another couple questions, and then I'm going to close this poll. Does the field I want to go into have anything to do with me going to a community college to fix my grades? Because I'm not going to lie, I'm not exactly sure how community college works. Laugh out loud. So I guess you asked it like, ha ha ha, adding some excitement to this. So the field, the way I look at the field is looking at a major. Students change their major all the time. A field is a direction. You know, it's a direction you take a step in. And when it comes to most schools, you have to take prerequisites. So going to a community college to fix your grades and save a lot of dough is actually a pretty cool idea if at the same time you can create, I like to create your own experiential learning. If you're going to sit on the couch and you're gonna, you know, watch Netflix and play whatever game you're playing and do that farm, the animal farm thing, like, waste of time. But to put yourself in a place where you can be surrounded by people, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Someone says, don't call the admission office and just ask for someone whose name you found. I worked in Stanford admissions office. There's a specific office for your state and county. Ask to talk to them. So thank you for adding that. I definitely, you know, the financial aid office. I know that everything happens in the financial aid office. I am a huge fan of students also calling and talking to admissions, and maybe you get too many calls in the admissions office, but the idea of a personal connection, the idea of knowing someone, I feel is something that really helps create connection, especially if you're interested in a particular school. And there can be state programs and there can be other programs within your college or university. But thank you. And I appreciate the panelists sharing other insight with one another. It's always great. I'm a big fan of information. So let me share your results with you. Okay. So when it comes to this poll, we have a large number, the majority of students, social, financial, and academic. So the social part is really a really big role. And of course, the financial is, of course, a big piece as well. And then the academic. And I think that the academic is always something we can navigate. Um, if you're interested in some highly selective schools, you're going to be able to get to where you want to go. The academics are important, but coupling these, picking the top two areas, is it social and academic? Is it academic and financial? Because when you partner it with that second piece, that's going to be what's really going to help you to decide where you want to go and steer you in the right direction. Okay, let's keep moving on. I got 5 rules for you. I got 5 rules to help you to navigate what's next. And these rules will help you to answer your questions and to get wherever you want to go. Rule number 1 is to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. If there's ever been a time to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, it is now. Getting comfortable with the uncomfortable means embracing that life is 90% amazing and 10% difficult or a bunch of BS. The problem is when we fight the 10%. When you fight the 10%, it becomes all consuming. This is why it's so important to embrace uncomfortable. For those of you who are seniors, the uncomfortable is you may not have prom. You might not be able to engage in the rituals that other students engaged with. There's a deep sense of loss, and it's really important for you to feel that loss. Because once you feel that loss, instead of it being something that causes anger and frustration, it's something you can do something about. And perhaps, I was talking to another school, like, what's something special that can be done that can only be done by students who are dealing with what you're dealing with? Creating a new ritual, doing something unique to celebrate who you are as a class, as seniors. Embracing the universal rejection truth is so important. The universal rejection truth is a law of nature that says not everyone and everything is going to respond to me the way I want. It's really the most important piece of this entire evening. The universal rejection truth says that some schools are going to want you, some schools are not. The universal rejection truth says that school may start in the fall the way we want, or it might not. People may not be able to assemble. There might be an entirely different way that college is conducted in the fall. The universal rejection truth is like gravity. It's a law of nature. It says not everyone and everything's going to respond to me the way I want. The problem is when we fight this truth. And if there's ever been a time in our lives, a time of history, where we see the universal rejection truth playing out, we are going to, you can see it now. Nobody wants what's happening to happen, but it's happening. So instead of fighting it, you face it. And when you go through life and deal with college and admissions and financial aid and obstacles and challenges, when you don't get what you want, when you struggle to find what it is you're looking for, you have to ask, is it the way I'm doing it? Is it me? Is there someone or something else that's in my way where I'm not getting the answers? Or is it the universal rejection truth? I do a whole 2-hour workshop on rejection. I'm like the king of rejection. Rejection and being great at rejection kind of turns you into a superhero, because when you're not afraid of rejection, you can say what you think and express how you feel and listen. Even with what's going on here, I know some answers. Some of you are going to love my answers. Some of you aren't. I'm going to do everything I can to get the best answers. And when I don't have the best answer, I'm not going to feel shame. I'm just going to find it. And if there's someone out there who has other ideas, the fact that we have such a huge group tonight that you can share is fantastic, is amazing. The universal rejection truth is like deodorant. If you don't embrace rejection and you fight rejection, you're not going to be great at taking risks. The way to be great at going after what you want is to apply the universal rejection truth like deodorant and give yourself permission to feel what you want to feel. And it's so important, because once you do this, the world shifts. Instead of being so focused on being wanted, what happens is you can recognize that anyone who gets to be in your life's the luckiest person in the world, because you are interesting, dynamic, incredible, talented, charismatic, creative, and worthy of whatever it is you desire. And any school will be lucky to get you. Any school would be lucky to get you. And when you recognize this, everything shifts, because instead of being so focused on being wanted, you get to focus on what you want. And I'm emphasizing this so profoundly tonight, because what you want, you are in a time where the canvas has been wiped clean. You really can do what you want. And when it comes to certainty, when it comes to security, when it comes to safety, wiped out. The thing that's safe is identifying what you want and going through the process throughout your college experience, surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded, sharing your dream, and continuing to go after what you want and develop skills that are specialized and unique. Listen, if you decide you want to take a break, if you love HVAC, if you love the trades, if you want to go into the military, if you want to take a gap year, like the beauty is you might have to take a gap year or a gap semester or whatever. Go after what you want. Instead of want me, like me, it's what do you want? And if that makes you anxious, think about the universal rejection truth. Listen, if I want something and people don't give me what I want, my only job is to feel it. My only job is to process it. What do you want? What excites you? What makes you nervous? Making friends. If making friends is important, we have a lot of people who are really concerned about the social piece. I'm going to help you to make friends. I'm going to help you to think about how to make friends. And over the summer, you're going to find different ways to make friends. And you're going to see how to do this. The way you make friends is you share experiences with people. You share experiences with people. So you get comfortable with the uncomfortable, and you think, and you get comfortable with the uncomfortable, and you embrace the universal rejection truth, all right? Number 3, think people, places, and patience. You got to think people, places, and patience. So how do you think people, places, and patience? When you identify what you want, you get uncomfortable, you think people. Who are the 5 people you can turn to? Who are the 5 people on the campuses you're interested in visiting who you can turn to? Who are the people who have the answers? Not only if you're looking about the financial piece, you can talk to the financial aid office. The reason that the admissions piece is really good too is because you get student ambassadors. And when you talk to those student ambassadors, you ask them, hey, how many of you, do you ever struggle when it comes to the financial part? One of the questions I ask panelists when I do discussions is, how many of you are broke? How many of you found scholarships? I've got a great interview with some Yale students who talked about their scholarships. There's another, scholarships. You find people who found the scholarships. Who are your people? Places. Places are where you put yourself virtually and physically to engage with others who have the answers or dealing with similar situations. This is why engaging virtually through Snapchat, through Instagram, through TikTok, through Facebook, through any means with the people on the campuses doing the things you want to do, even finding your heroes. If you're from a town, I do work in towns that are far from any airports. I'll land and I'll drive 3 hours. And I tell them, you always have to have your people. Who's your hero? Who do you want to be? Then patience. Give it a couple semesters. Give it a good year. Here's the worst case scenario, you guys. Everything's upside down and you got to wait longer to go to college. So you know what? You've been given a gift to have time to explore what you want with an understanding you can't get it wrong. How awesome is that? So when it comes to places, how you find your places is where you're going to sweat, play, pray, live, learn, lead, love, and work. Sweat, play, pray, live, learn, lead, love, and work. Sweat, play, pray, live, learn, lead, love, and work. If you are concerned about social, if you're concerned about academic, think about the places on the campuses that interest you where you can find people while sweating, playing, praying, living, learning, leading, loving, and working. Because that's how you're going to find connection and community and answers. If anxiety and mental health is an issue, you find those places, you find those schools. There's an amazing Schools That Change Lives is an amazing book that has amazing schools as well. So find your 3 places. Okay. And then when it comes to places, if you aren't able to visit your school, look into the summer programs. If the summer programs aren't available, the pre-orientation programs. These are amazing programs. I just interviewed a bunch of students from Elon University. I'm going to be publishing this next week on Before College TV. And the students at Elon, was it Noah Brums in the bottom corner there? He is an ambassador here. He's one of the students who was a freshman last year, who's now going to be part of the first year summer experience. When you're looking at schools, if you're anxious and you're a little uncomfortable, maybe a smaller school or a bigger school that has living and learning communities, a school that has summer programs where you can engage. These students, there were students at, where was I? Oh, at Ohio State University. And I think it was at Princeton. Everyone who does these summer programs, and they're just like a 1-week program before, they meet people. It's a total immersion. So if you have time before this whole college thing, do something that really excites you, where you could be immersed with people. But look on the campus websites and ask the students, what type of experiences are there where we can engage? How do you find your closest friends? Places, counseling service, student orgs, intramural clubs, work study programs, Greek life, performing arts, campus media, multicultural center, and also asking when it comes to counseling and psychological services, what are available? Do I have free counseling? How many sessions are available? Asking real students. This is, again, please do not be afraid. If you're a sophomore, junior, senior, and your parents are like always prodding you to ask questions, please do not be afraid to ask these questions, because these students, they want to help you. They're so excited to help you. Why 3 places? Always have somewhere to go, always have something to do. You always have options. The reason it's great to have 3 places is because what you like is going to change. And the people you're around, some of the people you're around might be total idiots. They might do stupid things. And if you're around people who do stupid things and you only have 1 group of people, especially for your high school students, you gotta have 3 groups of people. So when someone does something dumb, you go, I don't want to do that. And then if they say, well, you can't hang out with us, and you go, okay, but then you go somewhere else, all right? 3 places. So when it comes to your school, if they're equal in academics, then find the place where you can be able to have a couple places. Some of the problems when it comes to these super selective schools, these highly selective schools, is it's so competitive to get involved. One of the questions I ask students is, when it comes to college and that first year, What are some organizations? Where are some places that any student can get involved with and not get rejected? So key, because it really helps you. All right. So why 3 places? And then when it comes to your people, finding kind people, the nicest people, as you go through your search, finding people who volunteer, people you enlist, and people who are paid. Asking people questions. The ones who are out there want to help. They're not going to reject you. And the reason you need to have these people is because you can always find help. You're never alone. You always have options. I was talking to Paige, who is at Princeton. I just published that interview today. These students are so interesting. She's a tour guide, and she said that she was giving a tour and somebody got her information and stayed in touch with her the entire year and is now someone who's her friend because this student found her helpful and she was able to engage with her. Patience. How long will it take? I got to tell y'all, you're going to get where you want to go. It might not be exactly the way you want it to happen. It might not happen the way you thought it was going to happen. You might not be able to take your SAT. You might not be able to. You might have been studying for your SAT for 10 years. This was like the big moment. Or you might be able to take it. Patience. So many students struggle, and I know that you guys all want answers now, but here's the thing. Like, you're going to get the answers. This is an exercise in patience. And while you are exploring, know that you're going to be okay, and you're going to get to wherever you want to go. So tell your story as if it's happened. The way you tell your story is to think it's the future. Let's jump to May 2021, right? May 2021. Wow, what's going to happen? There's a lot of time. Here's what happened my first year in college. If you're a junior in high school, here's what happened my senior year. And see it and feel it. Because if you tell your story and you see it and feel it, tell your social story, tell your emotional story, tell your physical story, tell your financial story, tell your academic story. And if you're saying, Harlan, how do I tell my story? Well, here's how you tell your story. I'm going to give you a template to tell your story. It's May 1st, 2021. I had the most incredible year ever. I reached my goal and accomplished what? This is all about what do you want? The most challenging part was fill in the blank, because you know what? If it's worth anything, it's going to be challenging. It should scare you. It should be uncomfortable. The most challenging part was what? I got through it by leaning on these people, and I found people to help me in these places. And it took me this amount of time to get where I wanted to go. And I'm so grateful and proud of myself and my accomplishments. Isn't that beautiful? Like, I think it is. Tell your story. And the thing is, your story can always change. Listen, the story that other people were telling back in the beginning of the year is not the story that's happening now. If telling a story all the way to May 2021 is too much for you, then just tell the story of 2 weeks. Tell the story of 3 weeks. Because what it does is it puts you in a great place. The story is you were able to figure out which school to go to because you talked to 5 people in 5 places on the campus you wanted to go to. The hardest part was finding the courage to reach out to them, confidence. The greatest obstacle was getting in touch with them, but you were able to get in touch with them and you found answers, and it ended up that you knew people you didn't even know you knew, because you can talk to your high school counselor, you can find alums, you can find people who look like you, who are spiritually connected to you, who look similar to you, first generation students, people who are from low income TRIO programs, grant-based programs. I work with all these students. So here's the thing. Social media can mess you up, okay? Everybody's so worried about what everybody else is thinking. If it becomes too distracting, then kind of pull away. People get too caught up in this. We're in a totally different time. So when you see things online that confuse you, or you see other people who are finding answers, you know what, just let it go, because your experience belongs to you. This is a story that is a lot longer to tell, but it's about some students at Boston University who are paying tribute to a friend who took her life. They're sharing their social media to show that what they shared in social media was not a reflection of what their real life was. It was something they put out there. This girl says, or this woman says that she was at Boston College, just loving life. Her first 2 months of freshman year before one of the Saturday football games, it's this picture. But no one can see is that every time she talked to her mom, she'd cry, right? It was just different. It's hard. It could be uncomfortable. You get a chance to practice uncomfortable now. For parents, and I'm right there with you, parents, I've got some rules. You can download these. I'm going to give you these. We're going to answer questions. I got a bunch of questions. I'm going to go a little bit long tonight just because we got so many great questions. So I want to go through those. I'm also going to give books away. I've got a set of books I'm going to give away. These 5 simple rules, parents, you can download these. I do a whole program for parents as well. But these rules for you are really going to help you. And I think more so than ever, given what we're dealing with and all the uncertainty, these will really help you. It's painful to see other people struggle, especially our kids. And it's even more painful when there aren't answers. But the beauty is, for those of you who are students, you're going to find your answers. There are lots of answers out there. Some recommended books. Mindset is one of the most important books out there. It's by Carol Dweck. And mindset's all about understanding that you're either going to win or learn. It's not about losing. It's about growing. It's about changing. People with a fixed mindset think that the answers they get are a reflection of who they are. They are their test scores. They are their grades. A growth mindset means you add the word yet. I haven't found what I want yet. I haven't gotten in yet. It's yet, because we're always learning. I'm a messy learner. I never get it right the first time. So this has been a really wonderful way for me to be able to process life. The Power of Habit's a great book. These are great audiobooks for those of you who have time. Like, I think you all have time, which is great. You can definitely check that out. It's a wonderful book that talks about when you have rituals, and I know my schedule has been turned upside down, but having rituals really help you to form habits to make life a lot easier, because your brain automatically will perform certain functions without you having to try so hard. Then there's the book Where You Go Is Not Who You'll Be by Frank Bruni, which is an amazing book. It really spells out that if you go to a different school, maybe it's finances that don't allow you to go to a particular school. Could be other situations. Maybe you want to be closer to home. When studying where students end up, there is proof that going to other schools doesn't penalize you or put you at a disadvantage, because if you really want to get where you want to go, you can. Where you go is not who you'll be. So the assignment I have for you, and I've got more that I'm going to share with you, is what do you want? Get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Think people, places, patience, and tell your stories if it's happened. And if you go through this and make this a loop, you are going to be equipped to get whatever you want. If you don't get what you want right away, you're going to get something else, and it's going to be great. So go through these steps. When it comes to questions to ask juniors and seniors, I know a lot of times you struggle to ask questions. We've got a wonderful handout as well. And this is something that you could take if you get on campus, but you can also ask these questions when you're interacting with students. You could send them emails, you could send them a DM, find them on Instagram, like, use social media. I talked to some other students. I said, hey, if someone finds you on Snapchat and asks you a question about college, do you find that weird? And they're like, no. I mean, no, you can watch videos of them saying no. They give you their information. So use these. These are great questions that will help you. And then what's also super cool is you can get the replay of this. I'm going to give you all the slides. You can win $5,000. And this is the link. It's not about academics. There's no, you don't have to fill out an essay. It's random. So it's really cool. And I'm really excited that we get to give that away, because like someone's going to get $5,000, which is pretty cool. Something else to help you, to continue to help you, is Before College TV. I recently launched Before College TV. And the reason I'm talking about some of the schools of the students I interviewed is because I just talked to them recently and I'm posting these interviews. If there's a school that you want to go to, let me know. I'll interview those students. Actually, do me a favor. If you have a child who is a student, if you're a parent who has a child who you feel is comfortable talking on camera, I put together these discussions. Let me know, because I'm going to be spending the next 3 months just interviewing students nonstop to help you so that you can see what it is that I see, so that you will be able to have access to whatever it is you want. Before College TV, subscribe. I'd love it if you subscribe, just because you get the latest and greatest. It just launched, so I think it's gonna be pretty cool, because I think it's gonna like have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of subscribers. So I'd love for you to be a part of this and let me know what you think of what I'm doing. Also, I have a program for first year students. I have a whole classroom curriculum. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time with this, but you can go to bestfirstyear.com, and it's a really cool place to help you to navigate everything college. I'm giving away some books, and I'm going to be answering some questions. I've got 5 winners of books. Ooh, good stuff. Please interview some students attending HBCU for College TV. Ooh, I would love to do that. If there are any families who have students who are attending HBCUs, I would love, love, love to connect with you. All right. So I got some books I'm giving away. We're going to mail these to you. I'm going to get you Naked Roommate for parents only. Here we go. Our first winner, very exciting, Teresa St. Laurent. You are a winner of books. What I did is I took all the people who registered, and what we did is I put them all on a spreadsheet, and I did a random number drawing. And that random number drawing is something that helped. Amanda Senecor, you won your books. Catherine Pasqua, you won books. Valerie McCourt, congratulations, you won books as well. And Olivia, I don't know why I said it, Olivia Stengler, you won books as well. So if you are here, send me your address. We're going to get those books to you. You're going to be able to open those up. If you have questions, this is the time where I'm going to answer your questions. I'm so excited to answer your questions. Someone wants to know if they may have a book. Hey, that one person who asked, I think I could ask Robert, you send me your address. I always like when one person asks. I'm going to give you a book too. I'm not going to give everybody a book. But Robert, I'll give you a book, so give me your address. Okay, so let's look and see if we have any questions here. We got a lot of questions here. And I want to answer some of your questions. I want to know where your students are going. You got a daughter going to UVA. I'm going to interview some UVA students. Some people had to peel away because we had a lot to talk about here. What if we emailed the admissions office and they said they would respond at a certain time but didn't? Should I write a follow-up email, financial aid office? So I would write another email, and I would write another email. Now, I know there's people working in the financial aid office and they're probably overwhelmed, but I would certainly reach out to them. And if the financial aid office can't get you the answers you need, if there's urgency, if you're working with deadlines, and this is where, those of you who work on college campuses, and I'm totally on your team, but like if someone's not getting an answer, then going through a different department so that you can find answers, whether it's the school, if there's a particular major in a school, you can contact them. If there is someone in the family programs, you can contact them. I know some people were raising their hands, and let me go back. If you have questions, if you're raising your hand, have questions, just send me your questions because I can see those scrolling through. What should I do about 2 schools who have 2 different deadlines, May 1st and June 1st? That is really tricky. My answer would be that you need to make your decision by May 1st. I would contact the school and I would explain the situation to them and ask them if they are willing to make an exception. There are rules that are being made every single day and exceptions that are being made every single day. So whatever challenge you're dealing with, there may be many people who are dealing with those challenges. If the situation is financial and you can't get the security or surety that you need, then you have to go with the school that's going to be the best financial fit. Wonderful. Someone wants to interview me. Great. I would love that. I'm going to post everything here that we mentioned. Oh, LGBTQ students. I am doing an LGBTQ panel discussion. I'm hosting that. We're putting together the date. I'm going to host it next week or the following week. So I would love to talk to you about that. LGBTQ lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, transgender. I think I said, anyway, if people don't know LGBTQ. But it's a really interesting and important part. It's something to, when you're looking at schools, it's really important to contact the Diversity Center, to look online, the LGBTQ Center. Who did I interview? I interviewed someone the other day. It was so great. At the end of the interview, what interview was that? She's like, oh, and when it comes, oh, it was Elon, because I asked about diversity, because everybody was white, and we were talking about diversity, and she was talking about her sexual orientation, and she's like, yeah, anybody who has LGBTQ questions, let me know. Harlan, I'm super worried about having a bad roommate, much like the one you had. What's your advice for selecting a roommate? I don't believe there's such a thing as a bad roommate. I think it starts with you. If you want to be a good roommate, you will be a good roommate. Okay. A bad roommate is just a different roommate. You're going to find places outside your room where you're going to find connection and community. You're going to find places where you are going to make friends. If you're shy and uncomfortable and anxious, then as you look at schools thinking, where is the place where I can find other people if my roommate isn't my friend? Roommates don't have to be friends. They're just people you coexist with. My mistake was that I required my roommate to be my friend. And when you require someone or something to do something, you are not doing it right, because no one's required to say or do anything other than what they want to say or do. They don't have to be your friend. So the best way to approach a roommate is to just think bare minimum. Uh, when does someone get up, and do they clean? Like, what's important to you? That's it. And you got to be able to talk about what makes you uncomfortable during the roommate situation. I met a lot of people. Most people aren't friends with their college roommates. It's wonderful if it happens, but don't sweat it. Find someone who has some interests, similar interests. You could find them through the Facebook group, and don't worry so much about it. I find that people who worry too much end up being the problem. All right, so don't worry about that. How would you go about asking about financial aid for undocumented students going into college? So there are schools that are more favorable and friendlier when it comes to undocumented students. Again, this is a wonderful thing to ask for the financial aid office. Also, I would reach out to the multicultural center. There's usually like a multicultural center. You could talk to the director. You can ask someone that specific question as well. I know there was a school, Southern Utah University, that had a club for undocumented students. And there was a student there who couldn't go to her first choice because she wasn't documented, who then actually started a scholarship for undocumented students. So also looking to see, is there an undocumented student club or organization on campus? Because that's a wonderful way for you to be able to find connection. I got accepted to MIT, but if classes go online, I've been thinking that the tuition wouldn't be worth it for the experience I'd miss out on being on campus. I'm considering taking a gap year. What do you think? You know, I think gap years are incredible. Okay. I, I, I was at Trader Joe's, and I was bagging my groceries, and I was talking to this one student. I didn't know she was a student. She was there, and we were just chatting. And she'd just come back from a program abroad. One of the challenges with the gap year programs is that, everything's kind of a big question mark. So the gap year programs that are offered may not be available. So you'd have to explore that. But she was talking about how amazing it was. The reason gap years are really powerful, remember SEPFA? When you strip away the A and it just becomes SEPF, SEPF, and the A is away, the academics away, what you get to do is you get to focus on what you really want. So if you're going to MIT and you want to take a gap year, make sure that you have a gap year that's going to align you with really interesting people. Maybe you get an internship. Maybe you work part-time. Listen, whoever you are, I see your name, but what you could do for MIT will be so cool is, why don't you reach out to what would be like your dream place to work? Reach out to them and explain, hey, I might defer a year because of all of this craziness. I'd love to work or do something as part of your organization. It's like, why not, right? I mean, the fact that you're going there says something, which is really cool. So I don't think there's a problem with that. In fact, I think what this does is it gives you an opportunity to explore what you want without having to stay on certain tracks. All that said, if they start in the fall and you want to go in the fall, then go in the fall, right? Just one opinion. And if other people have opinions as well. Oh, you want to go to NASA. So you can do something with NASA, but what's cool is you could also look at SpaceX. You could look at, what is it, Blue Horizon, and you can find some people even through social media. One thing is, when you guys are looking at people who are living the life you want to live, a lot of people will start with, let's say, Elon Musk. Start with mid-level people. Go to LinkedIn. Look at LinkedIn and find out who works at NASA, who works in any space program, and then find people in mid-level programs. Find people who went to MIT. Reach out to them. Make that your summer project. How cool is that? Like this, I get so excited because you guys, it's like whatever you want, find people who are going to the schools who went to the schools that you're interested in. So many of my students are unsure about declaring a major. How do you ease their concerns? So when it comes to a major, I really like students to look short term. A major is not the rest of your life. What do you want to experience for the next 3 months? I know at some schools it's a different experience because you really have to lock in earlier, but in those situations, they could lock in for grad school. But what is it that you want to experience that you would either like or not like? And the thing that's great about declaring a major is it's not about what you want to do, it's about what you want to experience, so you decide whether you like it or not like it. So again, there isn't losing, there isn't shame, there isn't right or wrong, there's only learning. A message to all students who are reading this chat: deep breath. You will work through the process and find your match, and I believe the pandemic will make you stronger and more resilient. I 100% agree. We have gone long. I love doing this. I think you can see the joy. uh, Please stay connected through social media. I've included it all here. I'd be so grateful if you can give me feedback. I want to know what you enjoyed about tonight. I'd love to know what helped you. You can include that in the comments. I'll see those later. If I didn't get to you, write to me, send me your note. I will respond to you. And if I don't, say, Harlan, I really need a response. I thought you cared, because I really do care. I want to thank College Ave Student Loans again for being a wonderful partner to enable me to be here to share this with you. They're incredibly aligned with the holistic message of just wanting you to be able to get what you want. And that has been a pure joy for me. So with that, I want to thank all of you for being here. Thank you for staying. Let's continue this conversation. I'm Harlan Cohn. I am grateful to be here. Thank you. We will all get through this together. And I am absolutely blessed and grateful to be here with you and to be in your corner. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. Thank you.